Looking live at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, it has been raining hard, and there is respect for the home team in the NFL. Despite only one victory this season, the Bengals are favored over a Falcon team that is driving for the playoffs. And now live from sold-out Tampa Bay Stadium, where the Green Bay Packers know a victory is a must, and the Buccaneers are out to play the spoiler role. And live from Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, the Los Angeles Rams will try to get untracked with a victory over New York, and a win for the Rams would assure them of at least a tie for the NFC West.
All right, there will be 20 out of 28 teams in contention for the AFL and the NFC. Here we have Los Angeles. It won 10 games, lost 3. Atlanta won 8 games, lost 5. Although LA won, they haven't got a chance. But all this and more on NFL today or tomorrow, depending on the weather. The inclemency sometimes can be a very important factor.
The NFL Today is sponsored by Tuborg Gold, the golden beer of Danish Kings, Tuborg Breweries Limited, Baltimore, Maryland. Hager, slacks, sport coats, and vests, because looking good makes you feel good. And by Aladdin Stanley Thermos bottles, the tough ones. From the CBS Sports Control in New York, here's Brent Musburger.
Good afternoon, everybody. Week 14, and yes, we do have some snow around the National Football League. In Bloomington, look at the piles along the sideline. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings will get underway a little bit later. Professor Corey and Jimmy the Greek, what more could you ask for on a Sunday afternoon? Greek, Pete Rose is the big story. Down to 4 teams: Kansas City, Atlanta, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh. Who do you favor right now?
For the last 24 hours, Pete Rose. The meeting started in Lexington, Kentucky. They're now in Columbus, and he's meeting with John Galbraith right at this moment. I'm going to make Pittsburgh a slight favorite.
What about the new coach down at Florida? You got Lou Holtz a raise and an extension at Arkansas. Right. Now, who's going to coach down at Florida?
I think favorite right now would be Don James from Washington.
All right, Greek, we've already got one final score for you. Take a look at our board. Dallas 10, Houston 5, and everybody's saying, wait a minute, they don't play each other today. Well, in a way they do, folks. You see, Dallas and Houston both belong to NBC today, so all of the NBC affiliates in Texas had a choice. Which game do you want, the Cowboys or the Oilers? What a brouhaha it caused in that state. The Cowboys finally won 10 stations to 5, and some Texans are now hoping that both teams will qualify for the Super Bowl so that everyone can watch those two teams. Now, most of you were unable to see overtime last Sunday between Minnesota and Green Bay. It was a classic. The score was tied at 10 after 4 quarters. Minnesota then took the kickoff and watched Fran Tarkenton go to work. He's like a master surgeon using all of his receivers in this sequence. On the scramble left, buying time, he's got Ahmad Rashad. Then his old buddy, the former Giant tight end, Bob Tucker. Now he'll go to one of his backs coming out, Ricky Young. Again, this is in the 5th quarter. Sudden victory is the issue right here. Now he'll set up for the winning field goal. Chuck Foreman barging behind the left side of the line to the 4. Here's Rick Danmeyer. Nothing to it, but he misses the field goal. And the Green Bay Packers are given an extension on this Sunday afternoon. Bud Grant, meanwhile, pacing the sideline. The Viking defense, though, is equal to it. Turdell Middleton's run right here out to the 44 was the only thing the Packers could get going for Bart Starr, and so they punted the ball back to Fran Tarkenton. Now, he wants Rashad, and watch Mike McCoy, the defensive back, picks off the ricochet, fumbles, but Dave Roller sets it up, and now all the Packers have to do is square it up for a Chester Marco field goal, and they'll win it in overtime. But as time ran out, And one last pass by Whitehurst was complete to number 43. Here comes Chester Markle. And it is wide as he hooks it to the left, and it wound up tied at 10-10. And so now Bart Starr and Bud Grant have to keep on winning, but Starr needs a loss by the Vikings, because if those two teams tie, then the Vikings are going to qualify as the winner in the NFC Central. You know, this is a celebration for one of our directors today. This is the 15th year of instant replay. It actually began in a college football game, Army and Navy, 15 years ago, Franklin Field in Philadelphia. Tony Verna, who is standing by to direct our game down in New Orleans, was the first man to put instant replay up on the air. And Tony, how did it develop that day? How in the world did you stumble upon it?
Well, I don't know about stumbling. I want to do it thinking of a new device where I could show the viewers another view of the play. And I originally started out putting the camera on Roger Staubach, who was then Roger the Dodger for Navy. And when he wasn't playing, it was for Raleigh Stitchway for Army, and it was Stitchway indeed who was the first replay on a close shot.
Tony, I don't know if you ever envisioned that it would grow to these dimensions, and if you've got a monitor, take a look at what happened last week. It's Atlanta and New Orleans is the game. Everyone's watching at home. Atlanta has to drive down now to get a touchdown to keep its playoff hopes alive. Now, here is the pass by Bartkowski. Interference is called on number 29. Now, here is the other angle. There is 29 with the receiver. It gave them first and goal, and from there, the Falcons scored, although you really can't tell for sure from the replay. Tony, would you be in favor of having replays help the officials around the National Football League?
I didn't see that replay, but this morning I did watch the game film with Coach Nolan. And I did see Maurice Spencer in that play, 29. I guess the receiver was 81 Francis. But you couldn't tell anything from any angle, any film angle at all. There was no penalty that I could spot. I am in favor of anything that the viewer can see at home should be allowed for the official to see at the stadium. Therefore, if you saw a fumble or interference, why not show it to them and let them see it as well?
All right, Tony, I know that you and producer Bob Stenner are up for an Emmy for your coverage of the Super Bowl down there in New Orleans. We hope you win it. You certainly deserve it.
Thank you.
All right, Tony. Now, Herb, who have we got for our NFL Player of the Week?
All right, let me go ahead and tell you, Brent. Terry Miller was last year's runner-up in the Heisman Trophy voting and was Buffalo's #1 draft choice this year. He replaced O.J. Simpson in the Bills' backfield. But with all the build-up came the frustrations. A lot of frustrations. Until last week, he hadn't gained more than 18 yards in any play. But against the Giants, Miller broke loose with touchdowns with 39 and 13 yards. His game total of 208 yards and 21 carries is the highest in the league so far this year, and he is now the AFC's #5 rusher. For his efforts, the Pro Football Writers named Terry Miller the Sixth Player of the Week.
And Herb, the NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
I see terrible things.
My future?
Your clothes. You'd look better in Hager slacks. Or a Hager sport coat and slacks. Even a Hager vested suit. All of today's Dacron polyester at prices that won't cost you a fortune. Now I see romance. A beautiful woman.
My girlfriend.
My daughter. Imelda!
Hager, because looking good makes you feel good.
Go for the gold! The Danish heritage of American brewed Tuborg Gold. Never go for bronze or silver. Live to make the most of every day. Go for the gold. Then taste the triumph of Danish brewing. Tuborg Gold.
You make the most of every day. Go for the gold. Tuborg Gold.
Aladdin Stanley Thermos. Stanley, the tough, all-steel thermos bottle that's completely dependable and built to take a pounding year after year. Get the tough one, because a thermos bottle means more to you than a picnic. It's some kind of tough thermos bottle.
In Cincinnati, Hank Stram and Gary Bender will call the action, the Falcons and the Bengals. And Hank, do the Atlanta Falcons have enough offense now to go with that defense and get into the playoffs?
I really think they have, Brent. You know, they're an unusual team. They play much better when they're behind offensively than they do when they're ahead of a game or even. They play very conservatively, but I really think they have enough offense to get into the playoffs. Yes, they do.
All right, Hank, have a nice day.
Thank you.
Irv?
Tampa Bay, Paul Hornung and Lindsey Nelson are working that game. And Paul, the Green Bay Packers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both are eligible for a playoff spot. How do you see it between these two ball clubs?
Well, Irv, they tell me Tampa Bay's 3-point favorite as far as the Greeks are concerned. I don't understand it. I think Green Bay defense will be a little bit too strong. You know, Tampa Bay's starting backfield 4 or 5 weeks ago is completely gone. They'll have Mike Ray, Louis Carter, and Johnny Davis starting in the backfield. So it's going to be tough for Tampa Bay.
All right, Paul, enjoy yourself. Thanks very much. Brent?
All right, Irv, standing by now at the Meadowlands. Look at that handsome guy, Tommy Brookshire. Tommy, the fans in New York upset, and there was a movement afoot to burn some tickets outside of the stadium today. Has there been any evidence of it? Any fans burning tickets?
Well, how many are going to do that? I heard it was only about 60 people, and they're going to be probably 70,000 plus. I don't think the player really cares about the guy that wants to tear up his ticket. Right now, the Giants are fighting for their life, and if the Rams win today, they get into a playoff no matter what Atlanta does. I think the Rams really want to nail this down, and boy, they've got #1 draft choices. When you put Charlie Young at tight end, Brent, from left to right across there, they have 5 of those 6 people are #1 draft choices, and the Rams are a quality team, and they're going to be awfully close somewhere, you know, in January.
Tommy, I understand that Capoletti is lost today, too, along with McCutcheon. Is that correct?
That's true, and of course they lose Peacock early in the year and Wendell Tyler, their outside speed, the Rams did, and if they'd have had that, they might be here right now 13-0. Capoletti's got a pull groin, but a young man named Phillips can do a pretty good job playing that running back.
All right, Tom, you and Pat Summerall have a nice afternoon.
We'll try.
Okay. Jane, you were down in Atlanta this week?
Yes, I was. And you know, after watching the game between Georgia and Georgia Tech yesterday, I'm sure a lot of people will agree that Atlanta, Georgia is the home of some great football. So Eddie LeBaron was saying that why should they not have a pro team in the playoff contending spot? And he really thinks that they're going to take it all the way.
Oh, he's done a good job as a general manager down there.
Yes. As an NFL quarterback, Eddie LeBaron stood only 5 feet 7 inches tall. But what he lacked in size, he made up for with courage and clever hands. LeBaron passed for over 13,000 yards in his career and was such an adept ball handler that they called him the Little Magician, a nickname that still applies in his role as general manager of the Atlanta Falcons, a team he has magically built into a playoff contender in just 2 years. Has some of your magic rubbed off on the Falcons, for instance, your victories over the Saints?
Well, you know, it's always interesting when you have games like we've had lately. We've, I think, had 4 games where we've won in the last minute plus and 3 in the last few seconds. So I think what happens really is that team suddenly discovers it can win at any time, and they never panic, and they just keep on doing these things. And the more they do it, the more they feel like there's no way we can lose. We have a defensive ball club, I think, that is extremely good. They play a shoot-'em-up, all-out type of defense where everyone hits, and you know, I think that's the big part of our game. The offense, by the same token, is getting better as the weeks go on, and especially with the quarterback coming, the team now has confidence that Steve at any time can take them to a touchdown.
Are there any of the tools that Steve Bartkowski has, the strong arm or whatever, that you wish you had when you were a player?
I never had the strong arm of a Steve Bartkowski. By the same token, you know, he probably could never fake as well as I could because no one can see me back there. And so obviously I had to be a pretty good faker. My receivers used to say the ball used to look like it came out of a silo when I'd throw it. They never saw me. They just saw the ball coming. Mm-hmm. But what Steve Bartkowski is a guy that's big and he's strong and he's got a super arm. And I think as time goes by, he's going to develop these things where he's one of the very best. And we just have to build the supporting cast that'll enable him to do that. I obviously feel good that we're doing well at this stage of the game, but I can't get too excited because we have a long way to go.
Jane, what does he think of his coach?
He said his biggest contribution to the Falcons is bringing in Lehman Bennett.